driving lessons of BS. To begin with, I'll just go through the kind of circular signs. Most of them tend to be red if they are prohibitive, if they're saying you cannot do something. Okay, so there are 6 speed signs you need to know about. One of them is this. This is the national speed limit sign. When you see this, as soon as you go past it, you can then drive at the national speed limit, which is a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour. This sign you're probably quite aware of. It's the maximum speed sign. Red circles are always like orders, so this means, kind of maximum speed, do not go over this speed. However, a blue circle with a number in, this means it's a minimum speed. And this sign is the end of the minimum speed, so after you go past that sign, that no longer applies. And then this is also if you're entering a zone where there's a certain maximum speed limit, and this is the sign for when you're exiting it. So another basic one, this is stop. As you can see, it's an octagon, not a circle. The reason they've done this is because if it snows and the sign's covered a bit and you can't quite see what it says, the octagon shape lets you know that it's a stop sign. There's no other sign that has an octagon shape, so if you see an octagon shape, it's a stop sign. It technically means stop and give way as well, not just stop, it means stop and give way. You need to come to a complete stop. If you're on your practical driving test and you don't stop at one of these signs, that will probably be an instant fail. Which brings me on to give way, which is an upside down triangle with just the words give way written in it. This specifically means give way to traffic on the main road. This circle is also quite important. This means no entry for vehicular traffic, so you cannot enter that area. So now there's basically a lot of signs that say no doing something or no certain type of vehicle. I found these quite misleading to begin with because for instance, this no cycling sign, I used to think that meant cycle lane, like we welcome your bicycles, but it doesn't. As I've said before, red is prohibitive stuff, so things you can't do. So if you see a bike in a red circle, it means no biking. This one with a car and a motorbike, that just means no motor vehicles. And now that you get in the system, you can kind of see where this is going. This is no buses. This is no overtaking. As you can see, like one car is kind of passing the other one. So that one's quite an easy one to remember, I think. If you just think of it as like, you can see both cars going in the same direction. And obviously normally one car be going one way on the road and another car be going the other way. So by the fact that you can see both of them going in the same direction, it kind of makes you think of how like overtaking looks. This one's quite peculiar, but it kind of does tell you, it means no vehicles, but it does exclude bicycles being pushed. So it's no vehicles except bicycles being pushed, which is a very specific sign. I don't know, I haven't seen that again. It's a very weird one to have thrown in. So yeah, again, following the pattern, this one is no towed caravans. All these ones are fairly simple, if you see a certain vehicle inside a red circle, it means none of that vehicle. This one's quite specific. I don't know how many people this applies to, or they'll need to know, but this is no vehicles carrying explosives. Maybe with the increase of terrorism. Why am I laughing? So now there are 3 signs for no vehicles that are something something. So there's no vehicles that are over a height. As you can see, if there's 2 triangles on a vertical sort of axis, that means that there's it's height. So no vehicles of a certain height, and then it's the height values. This is no vehicles over a certain width. Again, it's they're on an x-axis, so it's width. And then this one is no vehicles of a certain length, and I guess the way you can think of that is it's showing the whole length of a car, well, a van, truck, lorry, depends what you want to call it. So this is another kind of maybe one that might trip you up, but I might just be saying that because it's tripped me up a couple of times in the past, and you really don't want it to trip you up, especially in an actual practical test. So this is give way to oncoming traffic. This specifically give way to vehicles from the opposite direction, which on this graphic it'll have the actual sign saying that, but I think often you don't see that text as well. So the way to think of it is just like that big arrow coming towards you, it's clearly got priority, so it's clearly giving way to them, they've got the priority there. There are 3 signs permitting turning of any kind, so there's a no right turn, no left turn, no U-turn. They're kind of self-explanatory. Usually a red circle with a diagonal line through it means no this, so no right turn, no left turn, no U-turn. It's like an upside down U. They should be really easy to remember. This just means no goods vehicles except for loading or unloading. I've never seen that come up in any like practice theory tests, but it's probably a good idea to still know anyway. And this means school crossing patrol, and you just need to make sure you stop if there's someone there with holding that sign towards you. Just don't run over kids. Great advice. This is why you come to this channel, clearly, because I give you such little bits of wisdom as don't run over kids, because that probably won't go down well in your test. Okay, so this is no stopping, and this is no waiting. So no stopping means you just can't stop your car at all, fairly easy. Just means you can't stop at the side of the road at all, you have to just keep going, keep staying, moving. No waiting means you can basically stop briefly. Similarly, there's this red route. This means no stopping at all on this route, so you have to just keep going on the route, unless you're a bus. So if you're a bus driver, sail through. So this is an urban clear sign, which means you can't stop during the times it shows on the sign. You can't stop on the side of the road unless you are quickly picking up passengers. That's like the exception, but it mainly means don't stop in this area during these times. So this sign is for parking. It means permit holders only. You know, it says it on the sign. It's pretty easy. It just means you can't park in this area unless you have a permit. It's that simple. And then this is for weak bridges. So it's just no vehicles over a certain weight are allowed on this bridge. Okay, so now I'm looking at signs that are blue circles. I've already gone through 2 of them when I did speed, but these are just some others. Blue circles are kind of positive instructions. So it's not quite like the red ones, which are like, don't do this. Blue ones are kind of like, do this. So for example, you've got the one-way street sign. You can only go a certain direction on this road. You can't turn back and go the other way. Technically means ahead only. Similarly, these signs mean you can only turn left or turn right on this junction. This sign pointing downwards means keep left or keep right if it's reversed. Now this sign I haven't seen very often, so I'm going to read it out exactly as it says. Vehicles may pass either side to reach same destination. So I think this is probably like if you've got a couple of lanes on an area like on the left hand side of the road or whatever, so they're all going to the same destination, so you can go on either lane you want. I think that's kind of what it's suggesting. This is the mini roundabout symbol, so you're going to have to give way to vehicles on the right. That's always the case with roundabouts, you always give way to the right. So like my confusion earlier about like red meaning we want bikes, which it doesn't mean that, it means no bikes. This blue one means bikes only. Similarly, this sign means there's a bike lane on one side and a pavement on the other. It's just segregated bike and pedestrian use. So like the cycling one, there's also one for bikes and buses only and for trams only. This one I haven't seen very often just because I don't live anywhere near trams, so I'm going to read it out exactly as it says again. This is pedestrian crossing point over tramway. This sign means ahead only, so you can, if at a certain junction, you can only go straight forward. Now there's 3 quite specific ones here. So this one is a with flow bus and cycle lane because they're both in the same lane, so they're both going in the same direction and they're both allowed in that lane. This one is a contraflow lane. Now the difference between with flow and contraflow is contraflow means that the 2 different vehicles are going in different directions. With flow means everything is going in the same direction, you know, it's with each other, with flow. Contraflow, like kind of contradiction, you know, something against something. So it's vehicles going in different directions. And this one is a with flow pedal cycle lane, which I'm not sure I've seen that again. So those are the signs giving orders. Hello and welcome to Driving Lessons with BS. This time I'll be looking at signs again. I'll be looking at warning signs this time, which are mostly triangular ones, and they're also mostly red triangles. So to begin with, there's this first triangle, which is just basically empty. This is distance to stop sign. So it's just a warning that a stop sign is approaching, gives you time to slow down before it. This one is dual carriageway ends. Quite a good way to think about this is because, you know, there's 2 lines becoming 1. These two signs both mean the road is narrowing. So one of them means the road narrows on the right or the left if it's reversed. A good way to think about this is because the line on the right side is moving closer to the other one. So road narrows on the right side, and this one is road narrows on both sides because you can see that they're both turning into each other. So it's just road narrows on both sides. Just like the distance to the stop sign, this is the distance to a give way sign, which yet again gives you a bit of time to slow down if you need to. The following are some warnings about junctions approaching. This one, which looks a bit like a sword, I guess, this means crossroads. This one, as you can see, is kind of bending. This just means junction on bend ahead. As you can see, there's a little kind of thing coming off it, so that's like a junction on the bend of the arrow. So as you can see, this looks a bit like a T, so it just means T junction ahead, but it's T junctions with priority of vehicles from the right, which is a bit confusing because the arrow is pointing left. But if you think about it, that would be the direction the vehicles on the right would be travelling in. So try and think of it that way. This one is a staggered junction. As you can see, it's kind of like a crossroad, except the two junctions are a bit staggered apart. This is traffic merging in from the left. As you can see, there's a kind of stick road. Sorry. As you can see, I really understand this. There's a road coming in from the left, adding to the main arrow going forward. So this is double bend first to left, or to right if it's reversed. This is just bend in the road, so bend to the left or bend to the right. This is warning for a roundabout. As you can see, it's kind of a roundabout symbol. And this is uneven road. As you can see, it's kind of like bumpy, so it's uneven. Reduce speed now. Reduce speed now! You know, it's quite in your face. Just wants you to reduce your speed now. So there's a couple here about two-way traffic. One of them is two-way traffic crosses one-way road. You know, if you're on a one-way road, there's going to be traffic coming from both sides at a junction. This means two-way traffic straight ahead, so you might be coming out of a one-way area or something, and there's going to be two-way traffic coming up. This is warning for traffic signals coming up. This is warning for a slippery road. As you can see, the car's like slipping off. These two warnings about steep hills, you know, there's either a steep decline coming up or a steep incline coming up. So it either means steep hill downwards or steep hill upwards. There's quite a few just little ones you just need to remember, so like opening or swing bridge ahead, low flying aircraft, falling or fallen rocks. These are all quite, you know, the pictures are quite good so you can kind of tell what they are. Tunnel ahead, as you can see there's a tunnel. This one means trams crossing ahead. I think I've got this wrong in a couple of theory tests, so just be careful with that one. It means trams crossing ahead. This one is level crossing with barrier or gates ahead. This one used to trip me up as well, I don't know why, because it kind of looks like a gate and a railroad. Sorry, that's what it is. So it's actually quite easy, but I always used to get it wrong, I don't know why. And as you can see, this one's just a train. So you might think warning train, but that just means warning like level crossing ahead with no gates or barrier. As you can see, it's a train, there's no gates or barriers in front of it. As I've said, I always used to get these ones mixed up, so just be careful with those. Or maybe I'm just an idiot. This also means level crossing without barrier, this X. And this sign means traffic lights not working ahead. So if there's a problem with it or something, so traffic signals not in use is the specific title for it. So there's a few more to do with kind of pedestrians and crossings. This one is a school crossing. I think most people will recognise this. Some of these signs have amber lights flashing as well, so be aware of that. I always used to think this specifically meant elderly people crossing, but I'm going to read out the exact description. It means frail, and then in brackets, or blind or disabled if shown, end of bracket, pedestrians likely to cross the road ahead. So you might need the exact description. So it's just frail or blind or disabled people crossing the road. Quite a misleading picture, to be honest, because that to me looks just like an elderly couple. I guess frail means elderly, but anyway. This one means pedestrians in the road ahead, because there's no footway as it says. I'm not sure if that no footway sign will always be there, so just be aware of pedestrians. And this one is called for zebra crossing. Quite easy to think of it as a zebra crossing because it's kind of got that dashed kind of stripe on it, and there's a person clearly walking across the road. So this sign is the maximum height of vehicles we can pass something safely. This might be overhead electric cables or just something overhead. And similarly, these signs are usually found kind of like bridges or something like that, and they show the maximum height of vehicles that can pass through, or the maximum width for vehicles that can pass through. Similarly, these two signs mean the available width of headroom available under like a bridge or something. These are chevrons. You find them when there's a tight corner, and it means there's a sharp deviation of route in the direction the arrows are pointing. This sign means there are light signals incoming at a railway crossing, a bridge, or a airfield. So you just need to take caution, slow down, and stop when you're at the lights. This is just what's called a miniature warning light at level crossings. And now there are just several other triangle warning signs of various dangers that I need to go through. So there are 4 for animals. One of them is horses. This is technically wild horses or ponies. One of them is for cattle, which is why you see the kind of cow shape. This one is wild animals, which is clear by how wild it is. And this one is accompanied horses or ponies. And as you can see, there's like a human on top of the horse. This one's quite obvious. It's just cycle route ahead, clear by the sign of the bike. This symbol means risk of ice, which is why there's a what do they call it? A snowflake. So there's a snowflake on it. Risk of ice. You know, snowflake, ice. Easy connection. This sign means traffic queues are likely ahead. This is kind of warning about road humps, and it's kind of the distance of which the road humps will be prevalent. So it technically means distance over which the road humps will extend. It's just kind of like a straight up danger, but it will be accompanied by a sign which details what the danger is. So in this case it's hidden dip, but it just means other danger. So this one's got text accompanying it, but it just means soft verges ahead. So this symbol is clearly showing a flag being blown by the wind, and it's because it means side winds. It's the danger of side winds. This is quite a sort of lovely quaint looking bridge. It means hump bridge. So just warning, hump bridge. This is just called a worded warning sign, so in this case it says forward, but it might say other things. I can't think of what it might say right now, but you know, it will detail what you need to be aware of. This is one of my favourite pictures for road signs. I don't know why, I think it's one of the most detailed ones, and this means quayside or riverbank like warning. I just love the little cargo. It's very detailed for a road sign. I don't know why. I like it. And this one is a risk of grounding, and I'm not totally sure what that means. It never really came up when I was learning to drive. I imagine it's more, by the judging of the picture, it's probably more for where there's a few bumps or something, and a lorry might get stuck in it, I guess. But risk of grounding, just remember it. I don't think it really ever comes up in real roads. Unless you're living in like Scotland, in which case it probably does. So risk of grounding. And that's all of the warning signs. Hello and welcome to Driving Lessons of BS. This week I'm going to be looking at road signs again. Specifically, I'm going to be looking at roadwork signs. So this is the first symbol you need to know about roadworks. It literally just means roadworks. As you can see, it's kind of like a man with a spade or some kind of tool. This one is loose chippings, which again, you can kind of see like the little loose bits of stuff coming off the car, so it should be fairly easy to remember. This red sign obviously kind of feels like an alert, kind of reminds you of the warning signs and stuff. So this just means there is a hazard at the roadworks, but it's a temporary hazard. So this sign might remind you of the motorway signs. As you can see, it's different lanes, and all this means is temporary lane closures. As you can see, one of them is being closed, so you will no longer be able to stay in that lane. This sign you might see on the back of certain vehicles or just on the road. It just means a slow-moving or stationary vehicle is blocking the road. So the arrow just means pass in the direction of which the arrow is showing. You'll get this when a slow-moving vehicle or stationary one is blocking a traffic lane. As you can see, this has the speed limit on it. This is because it means mandatory speed limit ahead. In certain areas where they're doing roadworks, they might put in a speed limit just to keep everyone safe. This is kind of like a warning sign for roadworks. It just means roadworks 1 mile ahead. This is the sign you might see on the way out of roadworks. It means the end of the roadworks and the end of any like temporary speed limits or restrictions. These are signs that might be on the back of a works vehicle or like an official vehicle, and it just means the lanes ahead are going to be closed, just kind of warning you of that. As you can see, it looks like the kind of lane closures we've already seen, but this will be on the back of a slow moving or stationary vehicle on one of the lanes. This sign is quite complicated, but just means lane restrictions at roadworks ahead. This sign technically means 1 lane crossover at a contraflow roadworks. Basically just means you're going to be moving into another lane on the other side of the road, as you can see on the picture, and there might be a maximum speed limit as well. So that was all the roadwork signs. There's not many of them. Hello and welcome to this episode of Driving Lessons BS. This time I'm looking at information road signs. Now, every information road sign is rectangular, so you'll know kind of what you're looking for if it's rectangular. So this first sign is when you are entering a controlled parking zone. Now this means during these times there are certain restrictions on the parking, and after these times there may be less restrictions. So as you're coming out of a controlled parking zone, this is the sign you see. So this means that you're outside of the zone and there are less restrictions now. This sign is an entrance to a congestion charging area. So if you're going into London, you might see this sign, and it means you're going to have to pay a congestion charge to be on the road. This is an advance warning of a prohibition or restriction ahead. So in this case, it's a low bridge ahead, but it might be cows on the road. Cows on the road? Why did I say? This means a parking area for solo motorbikes. This means a with-flow bus lane is ahead, but also pedal cycles. I'm just going to go ride on my pedal cycle. Bicycles and taxis may also use this lane. This is a lane designated for high occupancy vehicles, which basically means high occupancy. Basically means you have to have more than a certain amount of people in the car. And this is what James Corden is talking about when he's in America, because you can only use these certain lanes if you've got another person in the car. So in his case, he gets Britney Spears.
Song, Oops, I Did It Again?
Yes.
What's that about?
I think it's just a song.
Because I think it every time I go, every time I order a Domino's, I think, oops, I did it again.
Or someone who's supposedly Britney Spears to get in the car with him. So this is a similar sign, but it just means high occupancy vehicles, certain amount of people, or buses, motorcycles and pedal cycles can use it, but not HGVs. This means the start of the motorway and the point at which motorway regulations apply. This sign means end of the motorway. This is showing you the lanes that are going to be ahead of you for when you're at a junction. So it's just kind of like helping you before you get there. This means traffic on the main carriageway on the right has priority over the joining traffic. The traffic on the main carriageway on the right, the big road, has priority over the joining traffic, that little triangle. As you can see, it's been cut off by the other triangles. I'm going to read out the exact words for this one because I can't remember it. Additional traffic joining from left ahead. Traffic on main carriageway has priority over joining traffic on the right-hand lane of the slip road. So the right-hand lane of that slip road does not have priority over the main carriageway, but the people on the left in that slip road, they do have priority because they're going straight into the left lane. Now in this case, it's the opposite. So the traffic in the right-hand lane of the slip road joining has the priority over the left-hand lane. As you can see, that arrow has gone in front of the left-hand lane arrow. Now these bars you see here, these are like a countdown to the exit of your on the motorway. So each one represents a difference of 100 yards. So if you see the 3 marker, that means you're 300 yards away. And you'll get the 200 yards, and then you'll get the 100 yards, and that's when you need to be starting to move left and getting off the motorway if you're taking that exit. This is a motorway service sign saying that it's coming up, kind of telling you how far away it is and showing the operator's name. So in this case, Puddleworth Services. And as you can see at the top, it's also telling you that there's good food there. Yeah, it's just got a load of information, you know, it's going to have coffee, it's going to have wheelchairs, disabled people, it's going to have beds, it's going to have knives and forks, or in this case spoons and forks, no knives allowed. And there's going to be information there as well. This sign means traffic has priority over oncoming vehicles. So it basically means if you're going forwards, you have priority over anything that's going to be coming towards you. This means hospital ahead with accident emergency services. So if you're looking for accident emergency, not if you're looking for an accident emergency, but if you're looking for A&E and a hospital, this is the sign to follow. This is a tourist information point. So if you're looking for that, that's where you find it. This means no through road for vehicles, so you won't be able to get out. This means recommended route for pedal cycles. Pedal cycles again, brilliant, isn't it? This means home zone entry. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest, but be wary of families. So this is obviously kind of like the warning of the speed cameras. Just means areas in which cameras are used to enforce traffic regulations, so speed cameras. And this sign means bus lane on road at junction ahead. So you're coming up to a bus lane, which is going to be on the lane on the road that you're joining at the junction. So you need to be careful not to crash into a bus and kill loads of school children. And that's all of the road information signs. Hello! This is the last part. Finally, it's taken months. It's the last part of my series of road signs videos, and we're finishing off with direction signs. So direction signs are mostly rectangular, and we'll start with some motorway signs. Now these motorway signs tend to have blue backgrounds. Now this is obviously a sign telling you that this junction number is coming up and is the way to Nottingham, and the junction number is in the little black box, so it really stands out. And this is at a junction that's leading directly into a motorway. You may see this sign on approaches to junctions, and yet again the junction number is the little black box, that's the one to look out for. This has the official name of a route confirmatory sign after junction. So basically it's once you've kind of got onto, you've just come off a junction onto a motorway, this sign kind of lets you just know that you've got on the right one. Because I mean I've gone under the wrong motorways before, and you can tell quite quickly by these kind of signs, because if the places you're going to aren't on that list, or the places that are on the list are drastically different to what they should be, then it's quite worrying. And obviously it also tells you the name of the road you're on. It's the M1, it's going to the north, and you don't want to end up being on the M1 but going to the south if you're going to Scotland. So these are telling you what lanes you need to be in to go to certain places. As you can see, the second and the third lanes are all connected in the same bubble, and that's because they're going to the same place. But the one on the left hand side is a different bubble, and that's because the left hand lane is going to a different location than the other two. Now on this sign, the arrow which is inclined pointing away means the destination you can get to if you go left and leave the motorway at the next junction. So if you exit the motorway at the next junction, you're going to go to that destination. If you stay on the motorway, you're going to go to the destination with the just downwards pointing arrow, upwards, sorry. Now you'll see these signs on approaches to junctions, and there's quite a lot of different stuff going in this, so I'll go through it. Blue panels mean that the motorway inside the blue box is going to start if you get off the junction and take that route. If you see a brown panel on these box, this leads you to a tourist attraction. And when you see these roads in brackets in the boxes, it means that you will be able to get to that road if you take this exit. So it doesn't mean you're going onto that road yet, but if you take this road, you will be able to then get onto that road in the brackets. If it's not in brackets, that's the road you're going onto. The aircraft symbol just means that there's an airport there, and sometimes there may be a symbol to warn of a hazard in one of these boxes as well on the road that you're going to be joining. So on this sign you can see that there's a warning of a height restriction. This is another route confirmatory sign after the junction. All of these green signs mean they're on primary routes. As you may see one of these signs on approaches to junctions. Yeah, again, just kind of giving you an idea of where certain things are. If you carry on the road, you'll be going to Biggleswick. Biggleswick. If you turn left, you'll be going to Dorfield, and if you go right, you can go to the Steon Railway or anything like that. This is just for on approaches to a junction in Wales, and basically it's just trying to get across the point of bilingual road signs. So in some cases, like, they'll have the English and the Welsh. This sign means primary route forming part of a ring road. So it just means that the route you're going along is going to become part of a ring road as you're coming up. And confusingly, this sign also means primary route forming part of a ring road. So just another sign saying, like, this is going to become part of a ring road. So these are all signs on non-primary and local routes, and they have black borders. So in this case, you can see it's approaching a crossroads, and if you go left or right, you see these green boxes. That means that taking those exits will lead you to a green primary route. And as you can see here, they've got a warning of a hazard coming up this bridge. So this is what they look like on approaches to junctions. As you can see, it's very similar to the other ones, just it's a different colour because it's a non-major, non-primary, and it's local route. And this is a sign which shows you the direction to a toilet with disabled access. Okay, and these are just some other direction signs. So this means there is a picnic site in 150 yards. So it gives you the distance to what the thing is and tells you which way to kind of go off the road. This sign specifically means ancient monument in the care of English heritage. So, you know, when you're on like a stag do and you want to go to an ancient monument that's part of the English heritage and not part of anything else, that's the sign you want to take. This sign is direction to a car park. And this sign is a sign for a tourist attraction. In this case, it's telling all elephants the zoo is this way. And this is a direction to a camping and caravan site. So as you can see, all of those had kind of brown colouring because it's kind of like tourist attractions and stuff like that. It tends to have brown colouring rather than anything else. This is an advisory route for lorries sign, so if you're driving a lorry this would concern you, but otherwise don't worry about it. This is route for pedal cycles forming part of a network, because bikes are called pedal cycles in this to distinguish it from motorbikes. This is a recommended route to the location shown if you're riding a pedal cycle, and this shows a route for pedestrians to certain areas which will be shown on the sign. Okay, so these are all about emergency diversion routes. So you might see a sign like this, which is telling you the alternative route is this way and you need to follow this symbol, or it could be a number sometimes. And then you'll see one of these signs occasionally along the path, which is just meaning just follow these signs, like it's telling you the diversion route is this way. As you can see, this sign is also might be up, just means like if you're trying to get to Cambridge, and I'm just dropping my phone on the floor. If you're trying to get to Cambridge and they've put a diversion up, you just need to follow the signs for Cambridge. And that is all of the information signs. I hope this video has helped. There's a playlist here, and there are more videos which I'll give you the links to in a minute, which will show you all of the other road signs as well. And thank you for watching, and I'm really tired doing road signs, so I'm really happy that I've ended this series, this particular series on road signs at least. I'm really glad it's over. I've literally lost my hair trying to finish these road sign videos. Alright, thank you for watching, and
Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! Your time is starting over. Stop giving up.